Hi everybody, this is Angelo Quinones and Yuri Shine Ministries. Shine Ministries is designed to give you dependable and accurate answers that come straight from God's holy and inspired word, the Bible. And I have Anna Devine here as we study John 1:1, my daughter, Anna Devine. Hi Anna, my love. Say hi. Hi, you're not sleeping. Don't pretend. Say hi, hon. Say hi to the people. She's a year and 11 months old. Say hi. I'm just waiting for her to say something. I mean, don't embarrass me, Anna. Come on, say something. Say hi, my love. Hi. Say hi. Oh, don't be shy, hon. Just say hi to the people. Remember the old Flintstones thing before we get to John 1:1 and the full reconstruction? This is the church. This is the steeple. Open the door. And here are the people. Remember with the hands and the little thingies? Say hi to the people. Come on, my love. Say hi. Hi. Come on. I'm waiting. The people are waiting. They want to see the full reconstruction. Come on. Say hi. Hey, come on, a little chuckle something, my love. Come on. Anna Devine is her real name, by the way. I got it from General Hospital, the secret agent for the WSB with Robert Scorpio and Sean Donnelly. Right, honey, my love? How somebody could name their son Frisco Jones is beyond me, but that's another thing altogether. Felicia Cummings says I fixed this thing over here. Well, anyway, I only have like 20% of the phone left, so I better get going. I love you. I love you, my love. Say hi. Say hello. Hello. All right, I mean, that's just a deal. That's just it. She's just embarrassed me in public television, but that's just, because, that's just, now she says something when I'm far away. Hey, hi, say something. Hi. Come on, my love, say something. Hello? You laughing at Daddy? You laughing at Daddy's Greek? Alright, so that's just the deal. So anyway, this is the deal, guys. Well, anyway, we are enjoying the full reconstruction of John 1:1 and all its glory. And we can only touch, hopefully, a little bit more than the outer hem of the garment when it comes to Logos and Theos. And so that's just the deal. Now, let's recite or read, okay, John 1:1 in a couple of different ways. First of all, the biblical way of the standard pronunciation. And now she's saying something when I'm away from, when she's away from the mic. And let's read it or recite it in the modern way. That'll be the second way, okay? Just so people will know that I know how to do it. And also, I'll give you Hebrew. That'll be for free. I'm sure you have to pay for it. Nah, just kidding. So, the biblical or standard pronunciation goes first. Okay, it goes something like this. En arche en ha logos, kai ha logos en prastantean, kai theos en ha logos. Okay, en arche en ha logos, kai ha logos en prastantean, kai theos en ha logos. En arche en ha logos. Kai ha logos en prastantean, kai theos en ha logos. Okay, now the modern way, which I'm not the chief exponent of, okay, the modern way goes something like this: en archi y no logos, que o logos in prastanteon, que todos y no logos. Okay, en archi y no logos, que o logos in prastanteon, que theos y no logos. Energy inologos, que ologos in prostanteon, que theos inologos. Okay? It's much easier to say in a modern way, actually. Energy inologos, que ologos in prostanteon, que theos inologos. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? With the acute marker, law, like that, All right, so, well, we learned a lot of stuff about the prepositional phrase that's recorded in this verse. We also saw that it's the same prepositional phrase found and recorded in a few passages of scriptures when it comes to the New Testament. Okay, I mentioned, and maybe we'll look at it either in this study or the next, that this same prepositional phrase, energy, or in a modern way, energy, the eta is an eta nowadays. They love the e sound a lot. E this, e that. You know what I mean? And the s sound also. And so the modern Greeks. And so the thing is that we saw that the prepositional phrase, the preposition here, okay, shows a relationship between two words, logos, okay, and arche, that he was in the beginning. The relationship is that he was in the beginning. It's really the relationship with time and even before time. We saw that it's not only bracketed to time, arche. It's sort of like a horizon. It's like a fence. It's not, but it's like being on a fence. And I said it's either being on a fence, balancing your way, okay, on the fence, and only going inside the left-hand side of the fence. This is not meant to push you over to the right-hand side into time, and then you go to the time of Abraham, and then you go to the time of Dawid, or whatever the case may be. It's not like that. It's either or, meaning to the left or to the middle. Okay, it's forcing you like a giant magnet. And I mentioned, if you ever saw Get Smart, remember when Siegfried had that giant magnet, okay, and he was collecting ships and stuff like that for chaos? Well, it's the same thing. The magnet pulls you only to the left, only to eternity, from time. So you can be on time. No pun intended if you're late. You can be on time. You can have your foot on time and your foot on eternity. It's not like you're making a decision. I made that clear in our last study. It's not like we're making a decision either or. It's either eternity or either time. No, it's the both. It's giving you an indication that Logos was existed or subsisted during creation, and he was creating things. He himself not being created by anyone at all, including Theos. Theos did not create Logos. We don't see, and this is one of the 6 scenarios that I gave you, and you should give it to the witnesses, okay? We don't see anywhere in the Bible, in the Old Testament or in the New, this phrase, quote, and this is something that I made up for the witnesses, quote, energy, or energy, I'll stick with the biblical pronunciation or the standard pronunciation, energy, epoias en hatheas tan lagan. You see how I switched the construction from ha lagos to tan lagan, because in that scenario that's not in the Bible, he will be the object of God's creation. He will be the object of the verb. He will be the one directly created by Theos, meaning logos. But it's not in the Bible. And we also saw the other scenarios that are not in the Bible. Okay, energe, egeneto, halagos. In the beginning, the word emerged. Number 3, energe en hahuias. In the beginning was the sun. Number 4, energe en haangelos. Oh, that's okay. We could deal with both of those. I mean, we can deal with number 3 more than, of course, more than number 1 or 2 or 4, if they were in the Bible. I mean, and number 4, him being called an angel. Well, the Apostle Paul is called an angel. He calls himself an angel, malach, actually, in the book of Ephesim, the book of Ephesians in the Hebrew New Testament. He calls himself, in verse 1 of chapter 1 of Ephesim, of Ephesians, malach. So he calls himself not an angel, an angelic creature like that, like with wings and he flies to Ephesus, not that. But he calls himself a messenger. So we can deal with that. If it was there, either son or messenger, it's okay with us. Now, number 5 is killer, along with 1 and 2, and even 6, which is a repetition of 1. Energe en ha Michael, well, then we're in trouble. That's not in the Bible, but then we'll be in trouble if that was there. Okay? But it's not there. That's my point. That's why I made these false scenarios in the Bible. Number 6, it's a repetition. It's really a translation of of the first scenario, Enarche, Apoyasin, Hatheas, Tan, Lagan, it's actually in Hebrew, and I gave it to you. It's a very easy construction to repeat and to make up and stuff like that, whatever the case may be. Bereshit, not Haya, but Bereshit, Bara Elohim had dabar. Okay? Bereshit, Be means in, okay, and then Reshit, okay, with an R, Reshit with a T also, and there's other pronunciations, means beginning. So Bereshit means in beginning. The preposition actually, there's no separation between the preposition and the object of the preposition in Hebrew. They're tagged. It's just like the article and whatever comes after it, either Elohim in this text in the Hebrew, or New Testament, or Elohim in John 1:1 bet, right? John 1:1 beta in Greek, John 1:1 bet. I mean that, that's that ha is right in front of. I mean, it's tagged. There's no separation. Okay. It's tagged right. It's tagged right before Elohim. I mean, it's just it's the article, and boom, right after that is the aleph in Elohim. I mean, it's just there's no separation like what we have in English is the and then a space and then and then whatever it is after that. The hat or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? And as a matter of fact, it's only one letter for the article in Greek, and also one letter at times for the article in Greek when it's in the nominative and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? All right. Now, either nominative, masculine, the masculine, a singular, and hey will be the feminine singular article. After that, everything else is, have more than one letter and stuff like that. All of the articles. There's only two letters. There's only two times where just one letter is found for the article. Out of the 24 article paradigm, only two occurrences out of the 24 occur with only one letter for the article. Okay, ha, and then the omicron, and then the eta. Nowadays called omicron and eta. Okay, so those scenarios are not in the Bible. Okay, so we don't have to worry about those. Well, you can bring them up to the witnesses and embarrass the witnesses if you need to. Look, listen, we are here to reach the witnesses if we can, in the Spirit of God. But if we can't, well, we're here to embarrass the Pharisees and Sadducees and scribes. We're here to defeat you as a witness or to reach you. So pick your choice. Okay, pick your choice. You either are reached are defeated soundly by the biblical languages that are in the biblical texts of Scripture. En arche in halagas kai halagas en prastantean kaitheas en halagas hutos. Okay, all right. It says over here, hutos en arche prastantean. Okay, hutos en arche prastantean, or who really hutas in the biblical sense of it all. It sounds like a verb when you're saying hutos. That's the problem with that, with the pushing the modern pronunciation to the biblical pronunciation, because you have chaos when you do that. No pun intended. We were talking about Get Smart, okay, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. I'm talking about Get Smart, the old Get Smart of the 1960s. With 99 and 86 like that. The Chief, Siegfried, the Claw. You know what I'm saying? All them boys, Mr. B, and he was like about 3 foot tall. Okay, Mr. Big. That's just a deal. So it's really in modern Greek, hutos en archi pros tonteon. Hey, my love. Hey. I know I talk too fast, right, my love? I know I gotta slow down for the people. Yeah, I know. Hi, my love. It's me, Daddy. Hey, my love. Is it birthday? And now you're laughing? Are you laughing at my Greek, my love? Oh, don't laugh at my Greek, my love. It's not funny. Okay, as she chews on her arm, she already was fed, and she's gonna be fed again. That's why she's so fat for her age. It's absolutely insane. And archein halagas kai halagas in prostantean kaitas en halagas. Or en archi inologos que ologos in prostonteon que teos inologos. And she laughs at that. Okay. So we looked at the prepositional phrase last time. Okay, that the preposition, like I said before, shows the relationship, and probably was an adverb, these prepositions, okay, in classic times. Says Manual Grammar of the Greek New Testament by Dana, D-A-N-A, and Manti, M-A-N-T-E-Y. And the interview of Julius R. Manti by Walter Martin actually is on YouTube in two separate portions. I want to put it as in one part and give you all the Greek visual effects. I was going to do that first, but shucks, somebody beat me to the punch, okay? You know what I'm saying? Beat me to the Kool-Aid, you know? I wonder if they have Kool-Aid here in the Philippines. You know, remember the Kool-Aid, the red one? I got to see if they... I miss Kool-Aid. I miss things of the United States. Of course, I was born in the United States of America in 1965 in the Bronx, New York, you know, and stuff like that. I'm Spanish. And I'm in the Philippines because I married somebody here in the Philippines, Riza Tapayat, now Quinones, and we had one child, Anna Devane. And please pray for her because, you know, sometimes she gets sick. She experiences these seizures. She hasn't experienced in October seizures like she did in September. Only one time, and at least she didn't lose her breath. She didn't stop breathing in October. So hopefully the medicine and prayer are working. And please pray for her, Anna Devane. Have her in your heart. Have her in your heart, you know. And archein halagas kai halagas in prostantean kaiteas in halagas. So the relationship that logos has with arche, okay, and that's why basically there's no, in my opinion, no aionios here, no word for eternity. Why? Because arche is perfect for the both. Arche, you know, puts you on time and can shove you, if necessary, okay, all right, into eternity where Logos subsisted before the creation of the world, okay, and the other things that are recorded in the book of Bereshit, the book of beginnings, Genesis, the book of Genesis, okay. Batadia tu egeneto. And that means all things, not all other things, by the way, we went into that. All things were created or emerged, okay, all right, excuse me, through him. I have a very bad cold, guys. And so that's just the deal. So we looked at the prepositional phrase. We looked at the preposition arche and its construction, alpha with a soft breathing marker. It looks like a little apostrophe over the A, over the alpha. Okay, I'm looking at the second word to the left, to the right of the one. Okay, remember that we read Greek from left to right like you do Spanish, French, Latin, English, and, you know, in other languages like that, okay? You never read it from right to left unless you're just looking at a word and you're, you know, breaking up the parts of the word. You're parsing it. You know, you're looking at the case ending in this situation, and then you're looking at the stem and stuff like that. But you could do that in any. I mean, if you're good at it, you can look at it. I mean, you don't need to look at it from right to left. I mean, you know, just look at it. You know, whatever suits you, whatever's easier for you. You know, it's just like the Greek word stesetai that I was studying the other day, answering the witnesses that, you know, he will rise us in the future. So he will have a God in the future. And that's recorded in the Greek Septuagint, which is a Greek translation of the Jewish scriptures, in Micah chapter 5, verse 3. Okay, I'm sounding like Get Smart a little bit, you know, like Maxwell Smart. And so that's just the deal. So somebody tells you, well, he has a God in the Old Testament. I mean, he has a God. No, say no. That's in the future. And the future transformative, what actually means, the letter actually means to synchronize. So that's why it was probably used for the future transformative. In the middle of that word, okay, you have an S, you have a sigma. And that's showing you, you know, that's showing you that word is in the future tense, just like the helping word will do in English. It'll show you that the person is speaking, okay, in the future. I will go to the store. I will go to wood shop. Okay. I used to like woodshop, you know, Mr. Allen. And I used to like the CB that they had. I used to love CBs. You know, remember CBs, you know, 40 channels and stuff like that, or whatever the case may be, over 100. 40 probably for a walkie-talkie in those days. And from Radio Shack, I had dozens of those. Well, not dozens, but maybe like 6 or 7 walkie-talkies in my lifetime and stuff. Really good ones. You know, with mics in them and stuff like that, you know. In that time, they used to cost like almost like $200, like for a good walkie-talkie like that, for about like $150, something like that. And woodshop had a little tiny, not tiny closet like one door, but it had 2 doors, and it was a closet there. They probably had it for something else, storage or whatever, and then they used it for, you know, so we could sit down. 2 people could sit down in front of the table inside the closet and use the CB. It used to be fun. So I will use the CB. You see, there you go, Citizens Band. Well, and then we saw that that Arche is spelled out like this, like I was going to say, alpha, and that's kind of easy. Now, the next 3 letters, okay, they're not hard to detect, okay? They're just hard to read, okay? Which I guess is the same thing, okay? If it's hard to read, it's hard to detect. So I take that back. And so you have a P-looking letter. It's not a P, it's an R. Okay, the Greek ro. Don't say ro, say ro. That's lazy for the Greek saying ro. And then an X-looking letter that is not an X is a CH in Greek. Chi. It's not an X. And you got an N-looking letter that is not an N, is an E class, like in the word they. Now it's an I class, like, you know, like in whatever, you know, in. But it's not even I, you know, it's not even like that. And then you have, you know, the I-looking letter underneath that N-looking letter. It's just a Yoda subscript. I didn't mention something about that too much, so let me just do that now. Greeks, the Greek language in Biblical Greek has what you call, okay, diphthongs and improper diphthongs. Now, what are the diphthongs? Well, I mean, you have a combination of vowels making one sound. I'll give you an example by using English. The word 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know the number 8? Well, that's spelled out E-I-G-H-T, right? Just to check my spelling if I'm right. And so that's a combination of the E and the I making one sound, A. Okay? The Greeks have the same thing in their language, and they have several. They have about like 7 or 8 of those combinations of letters, okay? So they have the A and the I, and you see that in Kai over here. They have that in verse 3. You have autu, which means him, right? In a genitive case construction, the case of limitation as the kind. And then you have it in verse 2. I see over here who. You see, hutos or hutas. Okay, and that's a combination of the O and U making one sound. It's just like the word Patrick in the name Patrick Ewing. Ewing. Well, that, you know, the famous basketball player for the New York Knicks that never won a championship that promised us, okay, always got knocked off by Michael Jordan, but he was great himself. He's one of the top 50 players of all time. Okay, even though some people from the top 50 are being taken out from the list. Okay, that's just a deal. And so, so you have the U and then the I and all that stuff is a combination of 2 vowels. So you have like 8 of them. You have the epsilon iota. You could either sound that off as E or I or A, and then you have the alpha iota, I, nowadays E, and you have the U, and then you have Oi, you know, the O and I or Omicron iota. That could be, that's a diphthong. Don't say dip, say diff is a PH. Actually, it's a spelling mistake on page 20, at least from the 1950 manual edition of Julie Sarmenti and Dana. Well, there's 2 different spellings for diphthong. Okay, so it's kind of confusing on page 20. Okay, so I guess they fixed that in their later editions. I mean, there's mistakes in Mouse's books sometimes. Verse 14, it has Marfe that he appeared in a different form in Mark chapter 16 was in verse 14, actually, in Mouse's complete expository dictionary about the New Testament words. There's a mistake. And there's several mistakes in that, and then there's several mistakes in Greek for the rest of us. But I mean, hopefully these things are brushed up, and nobody's perfect, But it should be really almost close to perfect. We have computers nowadays. In the old days, they used to type this stuff, okay? So there's no really excuse to make a mistake. I mean, you have spell check and stuff like that, and it's just, that's the deal. So a diphthong is a combination of two vowels making one sound. Now, when you have a diuresis marker over, let's say, a diphthong, well, you're not to pronounce it together. You're to pronounce each letter separately, like in the name Moises, like that, Now, and so what's an improper diphthong, though? Well, it's the opposite from a proper diphthong, okay? Improper diphthongs are that an iota and I was written underneath the vowel, okay, but it's not pronounced. I'll give you an example over here. I mean, it's right there. Arche. You see that little tiny I underneath the last letter? That iota, which is an I, subscripted under. Somebody put it underneath the letter above. They put it right underneath it. So that's why it's called an iota subscript. Now, how many times that can happen? Well, only 3 times. With this letter eta, with the omega, like in the word auto, to him. And what is the other one? Omega, eta, and alpha. Okay, and alpha. Okay? In sin, harmatia will be, then the iota, if that's an alpha there at the end of that the I will be written underneath the last letter there, the alpha. See, so that can happen with the omega, eta, and alpha. Only those 3 letters in Biblical Greek to point out the dative case, the case of interest. Okay. He lied to God. That's toteo. Okay, toteo, and that's just a deal. Let's look at that real quickly. Okay, let's look at that real quickly. That'll be recorded in Praxis Apostolon, the Acts of the Apostles. Praxis means Acts, and Apostolon, that's Romans there. It's right over here. The only time that I see that the capital Kasi is present in a word. It's the only that I ever saw. Unless you're looking at one of the ancient manuscripts that everything's capitalized, but I'm talking about nowadays. Like in Pierpont's edition of the Byzantine text form, 2005 edition. I think you see that there. I think you see that in the I believe you see that in the United Bible Society's 4th edition. You see that in one of those editions. It being capitalized, the whole, praxis, All right, so let's check it out. Let's go to chapter 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's epsilon. Delta's 4. Some people pronounce it delta like that, but I like to keep it as simple as possible. And then after you learn it, then you can, do the Z and then all that other stuff, the D and the Z, a combination and all that other stuff, you know what I'm saying? So let's go to verse 4. I think that's recorded there. And let me see toteo in the text here. And it's right there. Right in the middle of the screen to your left, you have the word, okay, it's right before the 5. Okay, theo. It's a circle with a line in the middle. That's the theta. That's the TH in Greek, okay? When you see a circle with a line in the middle, that's theta. In and of itself, it means divine. That's what it means. The theta. Nowadays called theta, but we're not talking about modern Greek too much in this study. Theta in and of itself means divine. Now, I'm not saying that in Thomas's name, okay, that's making him divine, because that's Thomas, right? I'm not saying that. Or Dorothy or Theodore or whatever the case may be, if it's translated like that in Greek. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in and of itself, that means divine. Okay, the theta. Nowadays it's called theta. Then you have the epsilon, which is an E-looking letter, so that's okay. But then you have a W-looking letter, okay. And remember the forms for the word God in Greek. You have 9 of them. 9 different forms that I know of anyway. You have theos, nominative. You have theou, in the genitive. You have theo, and this is theo in the dative case. And then you have theon in the accusative case construction. And then you have the, and that's in the vocative case construction, right? The, you know, when somebody's talking to God, like Jesus, when he was on the cross, he spoke to God. He said, "Te emu, my God, my God." And then you have the plural forms, which have nothing to do with the living God of Yisrael. Has to do with gods, these demigods, if you will. You understand what I'm saying? Theoi, theon, which doesn't appear in the Bible, theon, in the New Testament. Anyway, it doesn't appear in the Old Testament quite a bit of times. Read chapter 2, verse 47 of Daniel in the Greek Septuagint. You're going to see that there. Your God is the God of gods, ton theon, right there. But you don't see it in the New Testament, ton theon, in the genitive plural. And then you have theos, and then you have theos, okay? And that's just the deal. 9 different forms. Excuse me, guys. She's laughing at me, coughing. Hi, my love. It's me, Daddy. It's Daddy, my love. It's me, Daddy. Daddy. So you see the tho there, the T and the omega, the W-looking letter, and then you see in the iota subscript. That's telling you that the article is in the dative case. Just like the noun is also in the dative case. You see the little tiny I written underneath the omega, showing you that this noun, okay, this what is in the dative case. Okay. It's not the subject of the sentence. Okay? It's not a vocative. It's in the dative case. But to God, it says. You. It says probably you. Is there a su here someplace? Let me see. Okay, ta, pragma. Okay, tuta. It says uk not. Okay, epsu so. Light to anthropois, a whole bunch of people in the dative, okay, but you see the big, word there, alpha lambda lambda alpha, which doesn't appear in John chapter 1 verse 1. C, that does not appear there, okay, but he wasn't God. That doesn't appear there. That's a word that doesn't appear there. There are several words that you can use with the witnesses. It doesn't appear in John 1:1c or any other part of those 3 independent clauses. Okay? All these clauses that have to do with a progression of thought from one thought to the other. Subsistence, okay, is the title for John 1:1a. Intercommunion/relationship is the title for John 1:1b that I gave it anyway. And for John 1:1c, which I affectionately call this the Syrian section, because if you're born again, you're going to believe in the deity of Christ. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? You're going to believe in the humanity also, but that's not talking about the humanity of Christ there in John 1:1a, b, or c. Okay, you see that in verse 14. When it comes to that. Excuse me, guys. You don't see a lot of words in John 1:1a, b, or c, and Allah right here. It's not the God of the Muslims. It's not that. It just means but. Okay, alpha lambda lambda alpha, but it's much more stronger than chi. Okay. Chi is weaker compared to this but word. ALLA in Greek. Alpha lambda lambda alpha. Okay. But he wasn't God. But he didn't have the same nature as God. Okay. But he was of God. Okay. But he wasn't equal to God. But he was inferior to God. It doesn't say that there. Could have said it. Didn't. It didn't, though. The scripture didn't say that. So anyway, Toteo is one of the constructions. And so that's another example for the improper diphthong. And so, I mean, it's important to know these things. But let's get back to, to the Let's get back. One of the things that everybody has to learn is to make a stop when you're preaching or teaching, the Bible. Just make a stop and go back. All right. So arche is in the dative case, the case of interest. Okay, and that's just the deal. Why is that in the dative case? Well, the preposition en, it looks like ev, I know, after the one, but it's not ev, it's en. That V-looking letter, like I said before, is not a V, okay, in Biblical Greek or modern Greek. That is a N, called in Biblical Greek or in Standard Greek, nu. In modern Greek, it's called ni. Okay, but it's still an N. It's still an N like in the Hebrew language, okay, nun, okay, which doesn't look anything like this, but I'm just saying, So N is a preposition that takes the dative case. Prepositions, okay, all prepositions can take at least one case. But some prepositions, okay, takes, maybe 2 cases or 3 cases. So, and sometimes it's different cases, okay? And she laughs over there. And that's just Anna Devane. It's just my daughter. But that's just, are you having fun, my love, with the Greek? Hi, my love. Oh, my love, you're just so gushy and lovely and delicious. Whee! I like to add that little thing and she laughs, Watch this, guys. I go like this. Okay, my love. Here you go one more time. Let's just take a little break from the monotony. Okay, here you go. Come on, laugh. And then she's looking at the phone. Come on, I can't have it both ways. All right. That's the thing. It's beautiful having a child, I just praise God for that, I waited a long time to have a child. And I had her at the age, of 54. I mean, goodness gracious. No, 55? Now, how old I was when Anna was born? You see, 2019. How old I was in 2019? 54, I think 54. That's like Michael Kay from the Michael Kay Show, He got married late also, the announcer for the New York Yankees, So, let me break up the cases. Let me showcase the cases, okay? No pun intended, you understand what I'm saying? Nowadays, you have like 4 or 5 cases, okay? When it comes to the noun, okay? Now, I know you have verbal nouns. I understand that, infinitives, but, I'm talking about, the regular nouns, okay? John went to the store, that sort of a noun, like that. Okay? And verbs are not nouns, but they are verbal nouns. But that's the infinitive, to sleep, to drink like that, and to eat, whatever the case may be, But there are several cases, but nowadays you only have like 4 or 5 cases. In the day that Manti made his manual, and I always refer to that manual as my favorite manual of all time, even though it just needs to be revised, punctiliar stuff like that has changed. Okay, fine, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. What if there are changes that need to be done in the future with the manuals now, beyond the basics of Biblical Greek? Were you going to just throw it away? What about the people's work? There's always things popping up in Greek. New discoveries that might blow away some theory that we have now. Okay, either in our teachings or in people's books. So what are you going to do? You're going to just discard all the manuals because, this manual is not good anymore because the thing is, it's punctiliar, It's not like that, though. It's not like that at all. Julius Armentia was one of the greatest Greek scholars the church has ever seen. All right, so the thing is that nowadays you have it like this. And then you have, the nominative case that has to do with designation. Okay? the genitive case that has to do with description, attribution, or definition. Okay? It's a limiting case, but as to kind. What kind of a heart? What kind of a form? Okay? Like that. And then you have the vocative, okay, a direct address, okay, oh God in Hebrews chapter 1, verse 8, and chapter 10, verse 7, like that, you know. And then you have, the dative case, which has to do with interest, okay. And then you have, you have not lied to men, but to God. You see, to God, in the dative case. And then you have the accusative case that has to do with limitation also, but as to extent. They didn't understand the voice. You see, not that they didn't hear the voice. That's a wrong translation by the King James translators. You can't contradict what was just written, okay, by the Holy Spirit through the writer of the Acts of the Apostles, Luke. He said that they heard the voice. Acts chapter 9, verse 7. Praxis apostolon. But then the King James says in Acts chapter 22, verse 9, they didn't hear the voice. So what's the deal? There's a contradiction. You can't have those two things. You can't. Excuse me, guys. So the NASB and NIV both say, okay, they didn't understand the voice. Showing you the limitation, okay, of the Greek word for voice, which is in the accusative case, I believe. Okay, phone. That is in the accusative case of disruption, which is the case of limitation as to extent. The extent of the hearing, then that's just a deal like that. Okay? So you have the nominative, the genitive, the vocative, the dative, and the accusative cases. In the old days, in Manti's time, and even before, some scholars said that there were about 7 cases. Other scholars said there were about spoke about only 8 cases. But let me give it to you completely as that manual has it, okay? And that refers back to okay, manual grammar. It had the nominative case, genitive case, the vocative case, the dative case, the accusative case, but 3 more cases. The instrumental case, which has to do with means, the locative case, and then the case of the ablative case, which has to do with separation. Okay, all those cases should be known, because if you're looking at a older book that has abbreviations or whatever the case may be, okay, of these cases, we're not going to understand what they're talking about. The ablative case, what's that? That's the case of separation. So now, to me, what they did 2 things. They try to make it easier for people to remember the cases, so they shaved it down, and also they made applesauce out of them and joined some cases together. That's just all there is to it. Talking about diphthongs and stuff like that, improper diphthongs. I mean, there you go. So, nouns have the root. Okay, let's look at theos, because I know everybody's interested in that more than anything else. Okay, and logos also. Let's look at theon. Okay, why is theon, and talking about the word, why is it written theon in John 1b and theos in John 1c? Now, if you don't know Greek, you're going to say, well, then that means that theon is superior than theos. That's not true. That's not what's going on, because sometimes the living God of Israel is theos, sometimes he's theos, sometimes he's theon, sometimes he's called the. So what's the deal? Is he greater than himself? Okay, is he superior than himself? In some other cases, he's inferior. In some other cases, he's, no pun intended, cases, he's not. That's not what's going on here. Just because you have a theon word in John 1:1b, it doesn't make him superior than the theos in John 1:1c. Because then, what about, in arche epoiasen ha theos tan uranan kai tein gain. In the beginning, God created the heaven, it says over there in the earth. What are you going to do about that? He's called theos. Okay? Well, because he's not the subject of the sentence, meaning the word is not the subject of the sentence. Okay? The subject of the sentence is logos, okay? And you see a S attached to the root. What is the root of logos? Laga. Okay, laga. What is the root of theon? Okay, thea. That's the root. Theta epsilon omicron, or THEO. That is the root. That's what contains the meaning of the what? The root of any noun, okay, or verb contains the actual meaning of it. Okay? That's as clear as I can say it. The meaning of the word is contained or capsulized by the stem of the word, however you want to call it, the stem of the word or the root of the word. Okay? Then what you have to make the word function in a specific way in the text, then you have a case morph, or you have a case morpheme. If you want to put that as the subject of the sentence, well, you make it, you put an S, a sigma, you attach the sigma to the root, thea, and then you have theos, and that's the subject of the sentence, for God so loved the world. Okay? Now, I'm just talking about, a second declension word. What is that? Well, a word ending that the root ends in an omicron, an O, like that. Okay? So I'm just giving you, there's a first declension words, roots that end in an alpha or eta, like arche, and then second declension words that root end in an omicron, like theos and anthropos and angelos and logos and hadas, like that. And you have third declension words which stem in or roots end in a consonant, okay? And so like tau, for example, things like that. So when I'm talking about logos and theos, I'm talking about roots that end in an omicron. Hello, that's my wife over there. Hi, sweetheart. Okay, so that's and if you want to put in a nominative, you put in a sigma. Okay, if you want to put in an accusative case like theon is, you put a nu, and then you put it in an accusative case construction. Okay. You make that as the object of the preposition of the verb also. Object of the preposition, and also you make that you put that into the accusative case. See, so you put these case endings or morphemes to the roots, and then you're making the word function in a specific way in the text, okay? Because if you didn't have these signs, okay, if you didn't have these case morphemes or these case endings, you're not going to know how a word is behaving in a text, how it's functioning in a text. Okay, so if you have arche and then you see the little tiny I, that's telling you that's in a dative case, a little tiny I in a noun like this. Okay. All right. So anyway, basically we're staying with arche and giving you a little bit more of the detail of arche here. It does have a semantic range. Let's look at that. Okay. So in order to do that though, as I finish, let's go to another app that has, definitions and stuff like that. And so let's get to that. Let's go to John, chapter. And I was at, in my other study, looking at Blepo, I believe I was looking at, I think. That's why I'm there. That's why I was there. Let me go to chapter 1 if I can. Okay, all right. So let's go to chapter 1. I keep on hitting the wrong thing. Okay. And when it goes to 1, then it's going to go to 1 also verse-wise. But let's go to arche and see the the semantic range, in the semantic pool. It's tagged by, now if you see G in the New Testament and H in the Old Testament, that's just talking about Greek wise, that's the number, and then Hebrew wise, that'll be the number, 430 for Elohim, and 2,316 for, Theos, Over here is 746 tagging. Okay, that's the number that's tagged to Arche. And that's the form. Okay, Alpha Rho, Chi, Eta. Now these called Eta. And there's no I, because that's in the nominative case. Okay, so there's no I underneath or iota underneath the Eta. Okay, that's just the lexical form. Okay, so when you're parsing Arche, you can say, well, Arche is the lexical form, and it's singular, it's feminine, like that, if you're just parsing that and and then if you're looking at the case and then somebody wants that, just give them what case is in, And I gave it the paradigm for Arche. I never saw it before, but it's probably Arche without the iota subscript, and then Arches for the genitive singular, and then Arche with the iota subscript, like you see in John 1:1, and then Archein actually with the nu, pointing out the accusative case. That's probably the paradigm over there. I'm pretty sure that's the genitive construction there in that paradigm. And then you have the plural forms also to deal with. So let's go to the definition. Okay, and the definition has it at A, rule. Okay, it says kingly, and then or magisterial, and then B, it says plural, and it says in a what it says over here, in a quasi. See if I could just grab onto something here. C, beginning. Okay, so it does have a semantic range. Now, if you look at the Oxford Dictionary of Greek, I'm talking about the Greek language nowadays, modern Greek, you're going to see that Arche actually has also a semantic range, and it has a semantic pool. I call it semantic pool. People say semantic range, I say semantic pool. What does that mean? When you're talking about semantic range, that a word has various meanings, and you have to look at the context to get, to actually translate the word, okay, according to the context. That's what I'm trying to say. So Arche does mean rule also, but this doesn't have to do with rule. Okay, this has to do with time. Okay, and even before time. But this is the perfect word for the both, because it puts you on the fence. Okay, it puts your foot on the fence of time, and then in 1 foot in eternity, because you're looking at both of them at the same time when you're looking at beginning or Arche. Incidentally, in Hebrew, it doesn't have the article either. It doesn't say be ha reshit. It just says be reshit. Okay. Now, I already told you that Jehovah's Witnesses also have in their translation, as bad as it is, but they don't have just in beginning. They have in the beginning, making Arche. Okay, not that they're making it is like that, but they're translating it as it is, as a word that's definite, even though it doesn't have the article te. Te would be there if it was there. That's the only article that would fit, okay, that particular word in its construction. Okay, remember that area will be to te to. You have to pick one, either to or te. Te fits Arche to a T. Okay, well, I have 2% left on my phone, so I have to go. So, parting is such sweet sorrow. So, we looked at Arche, and we saw the semantic range. We saw that the preposition and its spelling, we saw that it shows a relationship between two words, Arche with Logos, or the other way around. He was in the beginning. He wasn't over the beginning. He wasn't under the beginning. He wasn't alongside the beginning. He was in the beginning, And we saw that it's found and recorded 55 times. I hope I brought that up. And we saw, different cases of Greek. Okay, we saw the nominative. We saw the genitive and the vocative and the dative and the accusative cases. And we also saw all the other so-called, classical cases in Greek. The instrumental case, the locative case, and the ablative case, which is my favorite, actually, ablative case, case of separation. But we saw those cases. We also spoke about case morphemes. A letter can be attached to a root of the word, putting it in a particular case. We saw the nu for the accusative in this situation of theon, and we saw the I or the iota in the case for, no pun intended, for arche, putting that in the dative case, singular. So we saw that. It's very important to understand these things. Okay? So, that's about it for now. Like I said, please leave a comment on the screen, and please give a thumbs up, and always subscribe to the channel. It does help out not really the channel per se, but it does help the video to be spread out to more people as you give your likes and and you subscribe. Then the thing is that the video will be viewed by more and more and more people. So that's the deal with that. Well, this is Angelo Quiñones giving glory to God the Father, to the Lord Jesus Christ, and in the Holy Spirit. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. That means that they're living right now. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are very much alive right now, as they were alive in the time where Jesus spoke that. Okay, and that's just a deal. Well, please continue to check out this full Greek construction of John chapter 1, verse 1, and all the other verses that come into discussion, come into play when you're dealing with JW, so-called Jehovah's Witnesses, or anybody else that puts themselves against the Bible. The Bible is going to be here long after we're dead and buried. And all the opinions of man are just that, opinions of man. The Bible is God speaking as man, to man, for man, but like Martin Luther said, is always God speaking. Thank you.